ReefDudes is sponsored by Ecotech Marine and Bulk Reef Supply. Today we're getting an update on the Waterbox 7225. What's going on, guys? Devin from ReefDudes. So it is time for a tank update, so let's get to it. Alright guys, so how is everything going in the tank? Well, it depends on which coral you ask. Overall, things are doing pretty good as usual. Certain corals like this beautiful guy are growing extremely well. I fragged off a few branches the other day for some bit of test subjects with the orange passion into the NIOS tank. And so far they're mostly doing pretty good. So we'll probably do an update on that tank next week. So you can see with the Walt Disney what I was saying about how it's kind of just hidden behind there. It is getting overshadowed by this guy. Beside it we do have the spatulata. And a really cool growth on this guy, like just the little coralites and how they pop out the side, like it is really pretty. And as for the Hellfire Millie, you can just see, you can see where I fragged off a couple branches the other day, and it's in about a week it's almost like 95% regrowing over itself, so it's really cool to see how fast it actually comes back. Rainbow clove polyps, it is crazy how these guys have taken over this little area over here. They were started on the other side of the tank and they just slowly have been creeping through the acros over here. You can kind of see the little rote. But they're super pretty, nice blast of color. You can kind of see the ones darker down. You can just look at the little highlights where they're a little more pale, a little more light colored in the higher par. This one makes me a bit sad, the Vivid Confetti. This was a big, beautiful colony, and you can see I do have a bunch of STN. Now this happened when I fragged some chunks off it about a week ago. Now this has been such a weird, finicky coral where it's came back, like it's died off, it's came back so many times for me. At least 5 times now. So I mean, the healthy ones will regrow, but it's a little bit of a bugger when that happens. This guy always looks awesome from the top downs. Up top here we got our Rainbow Monty, and yeah, same thing with this one. This used to be this whole area, and again it's getting overgrown by this guy, whatever it is. I mean, it's a very pretty bright color, but I'm not even 100% sure what that one is. Now I think I jinxed it when I did a live stream with Mark last week talking about just how big my red dragon is. And he was like, oh, that one always RTNs or STN, and of course I'm getting a little bit of white STNing down at the base down there, so I think I definitely did jinx it on that one. But this one overall seems to be doing pretty well, and it's definitely kind of probably hitting critical mass for how big it is in my tank. This thing is massive. Now looking down into some of these cracks is funny. That guy there was a millie that I got from someone. I thought it almost all died off, and you can definitely see it's coming back. So there is something to say about how hardy and resilient corals can be, and just leaving certain things in your tank and that flesh comes back over time. Now I did move a little chunk of Walt Disney over here just to see how it would do, since the other one's getting shaded over there, and it's been puddling and encrusting quite nicely on the rocks, so hopefully it'll turn to a nice cool colony over here. My orange passion has been doing phenomenally well. Same thing, I did take a couple branches off this just because I have tons of it now, but you can just see how happy it is, and this guy's has been doing awesome within the tank. And this guy, whatever it is a bit of a mystery coral. I forget what this was because I added it on so long ago. A tiny little shard on the back of the rock, and now it's growing well and has some awesome coloration. And this big millie is the one that was dying off, so this was STNing from the bottom up, and you can definitely see there is some dead on it, but the rest of it's still growing completely happy, and the STNing did seem to stop, so doing nothing seemed to work well in this case. As for the Gonies, these guys are nice and fluffy as usual. If we come to the front one, you can see that one's definitely a little more paler in the front. That might be from getting too much light, so I might shift that over so it's a bit more shaded and see how that changes the colorations on it. WWC grafted Monty, that's getting pretty big down there, starting to touch other rocks, so I'm going to give that guy a frag soon. Torches are looking phenomenal. Remember when they were fading, a year and a half or so ago when I did that KFC dip on them, and it definitely worked because now they are looking fabulous. My one regret in this tank would be those minty zoas. I do wish I never did add those because they are definitely on the invasive side of things. You can see the Marvin the Martian there. Nice and fuzzy away from it, but definitely had a lot of die off where the torch grew and started stinging it. And a couple different Favies down there. Those guys got some pretty awesome coloration. Space Invader. Yeah, a few different ones that are kind of just hiding down there in the cracks. Side, you can just see that Hellfire Million's where it's recovering, so it's always cool to see. Green Slimer. This guy is definitely massive and super bright. Always a good staple in my mind. And this guy is the Miyagi Tort, and this is the one that was spawning in my tank a while ago, so that was really cool to see in my tank. This Gargonian's a trooper. He constantly gets picked at by my Red Sea Sailfin tank and seems happy. I just caught the copper band picking at the Favia. So, I mean, you never know with fish, right? It's always a risk of who's going to pick at what. We got a nice big accidental frag. That's another, I guess, kind of problem with things growing in, is it's really easy to frag stuff off just by smacking out the algae cleaners you're cleaning inside of the glass. This orange Setosa is basically taking over the side corner. I'm going to have to frag it way back or else I'm never going to be able to clean the glass here. You know, see there's a hammer or a frog spawn or something hiding in the back that's almost fully shaded. I don't even get it out now without breaking the orange Setosa off of it. The Walt Disney is kind of trying to encrust out, but also getting shaded at the same time, so definitely going to have to be a little more aggressive in the fragging if I want that guy to make it. The Spatulata is a really cool coral. When you get up close, it's amazing how fuzzy it is. And it has really, really cool growth patterns. Branching Cyphastra, that's one I almost forget I have. It's just hiding back here. And you can see just how much those other chaos are taking over certain parts. Like, I love them. They're super cool zoas, but they grow well once they're happy. You know, a lot of these acros, you know, same thing. They're basically touching, you know, some stuff's growing into each other, some of them fuse together. Kind of what happens when you just let nature do its thing in the tank. Now, I have been testing out the NP for a while now. I just changed the first batch of reagents, so a good 2 months now. And because of that, it made me realize just how high my nutrients actually were. So that was a good reason to get the Refugium going again. So I did load this baby up with Chaeto and got the blade grow back on there and letting this do its thing and really helping knock my nutrients down a bit. They were excessively high, which I realized once I had the daily auto test. So kind of made me decide to do a bit better on that front. Now on the dosing front, I did mix things up slightly. I stopped doing all of my crazy hydroxide-ish dosing just to see how things go for a while. Now, with stopping all that, my pH is definitely tanked. You know, I used to be up to 8.5, 8.6. Now I'm like 7.9 to 8 if I'm lucky. So no soda lime pellets currently. Again, I might add that back in just to get that pH boost back. And right now, instead of doing the hydroxides, I'm just doing Alpha Reef. So I'm doing about 75 mils a day Alpha Reef on top of the calcium reactor. Now with the calcium reactor, I also do have calc in here, which does get dripped at night, and I have been testing out using the dose quiet drive with the calcium reactor. So that's a little bit of a new experiment for me, and so far it's been working pretty well with that. Camera is about ready to be empty. That's full of nice dark nasty. Now I always tend to be more of a fan of a dry skim. Lots of people do the light tea kind of color, but I make it super dark and thick. Now looking at the Chaeto, I'm actually pretty impressed. This has only been, you know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks in here. Maybe 2 weeks. But I put it, this was maybe like a third full. Now this is almost completely full. So the blade fuge has really been doing its job. So I wish I took a clip when I first put it, but it was, yeah, left probably about a third of this. Now it's almost completely full. So definitely doing her job. On the control cabinet side, we have, you can see how low my pH was there, so 7.8 shows how much lower it is. It's been a bazillion degrees outside lately, like over 100 degrees here, and it's been hot. So all the windows are closed, you know, air conditioners pumping, all that jazz. So between all that stuff has definitely suppressed my pH. But I have been testing the Alcatronic Pro, and that's been pretty solid so far. If you guys watched last week's video, I would have saw the initial bit on it. But so I have that testing once a day, then I have the Trident testing my Alc twice a day. And I am going out of town soon, so decided to throw the little Eheim feeder up here, some pellets. This is a bit of a test subject, make sure everything's working well before I actually go away. and give the fish a little more snacks throughout the day. Now, as for upcoming tank projects, I don't think there's any really big changes on the Waterbox. I'm for the most part just trying to keep things, semi-stable and let them grow and be happy. I probably should get a little bit better at separating some of the corals or fragging off the stuff that's growing into each other. I know it's something I say almost every time, but something that I should actually be a little more active in. But in the same breath, the whole Also Naturel does look pretty cool. Even some of these guys, like that big kind of gold Monty guy, super cool coral, kind of hidden back there. I should find, some better homes for some of these guys. The torches, probably a good year and a half from now ago, I did the KFC dip on them. People always ask for an update. They have been super happy, super bushy since I did that, so it definitely did work. I think it's too much heads to see in the flesh bands, but if you can see any of them, they're definitely nice and healthy now. So healthy that they're killing off my Marvin the Martian right beside it. But yeah, you kind of see the ones right beside it, but it die off, and the rest of it's still super polypy and happy. Little Royal Gamma, little peekaboo. What's up, buddy? Mandarins are definitely up there on some of my favorite fish. I love these guys. They're absolutely beautiful. I'll have to get one for the other tank eventually. Another kind of interesting thing, if you look at the Goni in the back there, we got the one below. It's very goldy on this side that's shadowed, and the one that's in the sun is more yellow, kind of greeny gold and pinky. So it's kind of interesting to see how much the corals shift under like higher versus lower light in those different situations. Now, on my previous streams, we were talking about like kind of how much power consumption tanks take. Now, I did swap this tank to the narrow lenses. I mean, I have 5 radions on here, so I probably slightly overkill, like 4 would have been plenty. But with that, I did put down to the narrow high intensity lenses. So it's not as good for, bouncing the light everywhere and getting, more light under the corals for the coral health from that perspective. But running your lights at about 25-30% less power is always a big win in my mind. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed that update on the Waterbox 7225. If you got any questions on the tank at all, of course let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, if you enjoyed it, be sure that like button, make sure you subscribe. Catch you guys on the next update.